Hi, Nancy.
Hi.
Let's begin with some introduction. Tell me, who are you?
I am a volunteer at Russian House, and I...
Okay, let's go further. So first, don't do what you don't want to do, meaning is that you should take responsibility for whatever you are doing.
Right. And no victims allowed. Like no playing.
What will someone will do if I want to make victim?
If you want to be a victim,
yeah,
they just leave you alone. You do that by yourself. Nobody really wants to play with that.
But
or they turn you into a joke. That's the worst. The worst that would happen is they turn you into a comedy routine. Mm-hmm. They just start like, oh really? It's not fun to be a victim in that place.
Mm-hmm. But people tend to become victims.
Not there.
Not there.
I mean, if you did, you didn't really work very well there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It was really an alternate way of living.
Of living, and okay. Who created this room?
Victor Barranco. Mm-hmm. He was with Timothy Leary and Bob Ramdas. Mm-hmm. He was in that group. Mm-hmm. He, here in the Bay Area, back in the '60s. Mm-hmm. And then he was talking to people, and they were getting excited about what he was saying, and then they wanted community. He didn't want to make a community. He didn't want to be a guru. He didn't want to, he just was talking. And but people wanted a community, so they did it. They created a community. That community's been there almost 50 years.
It was the first principle: don't do what you don't want to do, or like.
Well, the
it
first
was
one I think is fun is the goal, love is the way. That would be the first. And everybody thinks that's backwards, but he's insisted that really is the way it is.
So love is a way for fun. How do you understand that?
When I'm in love, and I'm feeling love and all that is, then I'm having fun. But not necessarily. Like if love is the goal, then I could be like, oh, that's not their philosophy. Their philosophy is fun is the goal and love is the way. But it's not about like all that drama around love. It's like if you have fun as the goal, then you're going to keep going for fun. And then having love as the way just reminds you that's how you're going to have the most fun, is if you're loving and you're including everybody. And another thing was about responsible hedonism. In other words, hedonism's fine, but responsible hedonism, to not, you take responsibility that you can't be winning if I'm not winning. Nobody's going to have fun if everybody isn't having fun. You can't have a disgruntled minority and have it work.
But the humanity history shows that we can.
Oh, it's not really happy though. I mean, it's like that's the way it goes, and that's why we have wars, and that's why we have all. Yeah. But if everybody was a responsible hedonist, we wouldn't have all those things. So this is a very tight little group. They live that way. They know that isn't the way the rest of the world lives, but that's how they live, or they try to.
But why it's not the way for the rest of the world?
Well, because they wouldn't do it. They don't. It's like it's way out there to care about what the people around you. They can't even do it in the community. That's why I left. One of the reasons I left the community is they can't do it even there, and that's the goal. They can't do it. It's very hard to include others, care about others.
Hedonism ideally means that I'm trying to find the way to pleasure myself, right?
Pleasure, yeah.
To pleasure for myself.
For myself.
Not for someone else, for myself first.
Right.
Right?
That's hedonism, right.
And who is myself in this case?
Well, that's another reason I left the community. Is it seemed to me that myself was a very shallow self that they were talking about. Not necessarily what Vic intended, and not necessarily what everybody does, but the group I lived in Atlanta, had a very superficial understanding of who the self was, in my opinion.
What was the understanding?
Just like physical pleasure, lots of yucks. A lot of partying, I mean, it was great. For the first 10 years, I was like, I loved it. It was great. And then I wanted more. And it wasn't going for more. There was no more. That's all it was. And I don't think that's true in the Lafayette community. I think there are people there who do have a deep inner life and know who they are and stuff like that, but I don't think that was true in Atlanta.
Okay, and what's different about Lafayette? How does I understand myself?
They've been through so much more. They've had to really. I mean, they lived with Vic all those years, and he put them through a lot of gyrations. Like they had to, like he would have. Call a meeting in the middle of the night. They'd have to get up and go to the meeting. He'd change everybody's room. Change your room right now. Like, move. Or just all kinds of things that he would do, like, that would shake them up. And
if they don't want to change the room?
Well, then they have to leave.
They have to leave?
Yeah. Because he was in charge. I mean, they don't do this now. I mean, he's dead.
Yeah, I understand.
But he did. He did. He whatever he said, they did it. And that went on for the whole time he was alive. Because they trusted him. Because I met him several times, and he was the most loving person. I had never felt that kind of attention in my life. And everybody who had encounters with him felt the same thing. You just knew that he totally loved you, and but he was rough. He was very rough, and you just spend half the time sort of like deer in headlights, but the love was always there. So they knew that. So then they would do what he said to do.
For what?
They knew he loved them.
Right.
Yeah, so then they would.
For what they would do that?
Because he gave them a better life than they could ever have on their own. That by the things that he forced them to do stuff they would never do. They wouldn't have pushed themselves to get as big as they got with him. And that's why I'm saying I think in Atlanta there was a smaller. We were a satellite community. We were far away from the source, and people made up their own minds about what it was, and so people stayed pretty shallow.
Why Victor didn't come to Atlanta too?
Oh, he didn't have any interest in any communal living at all. He just did it because other people. He wasn't trying to support or encourage any communal living.
Include the community in self.
Well, he did, but it just wasn't. He wasn't like devoted to it. They were devoted to him. They wanted to live with him. He would just as soon have lived alone. With his wife. He didn't really care about living in a group. He agreed to do it because they wanted to do it. And he made it work for him by having a lot of things. They had made sure things went his way. But other than that, he never tried to establish or maintain a relationship, a community. He just would say, "This is what I see," and this is, and he was right. He was just one of those incredibly aware humans that he could see what was going on.
Okay, when you speak about him, you said that he was loving.
Mm-hmm.
So you appreciate not the fun, which he even gave you,
Well, it was,
but the love.
there was at times when it felt no fun at all to be in his presence. He would say things that would just shock you. But then if you could get over the hex and feeling crazy, it would start to be fun again. You could see yourself in a new way.
Okay, but what's from your talk, the love was more values and fun, isn't it?
Well, it was multidimensional, right? I mean, it wasn't like just an easy relationship with him. He was tough, but he had your best intention. You could tell that he saw you and he wanted the best for you. And if you were missing something, or you weren't seeing yourself clearly, or you were, trying to get away with something, he knew it, and he would just say.